Hi, I'm Sheen. Welcome to my shop. Previously, I made this maple butcher block top, and I squared off the ends with my TS75 track saw. That was a piece of cake. Now, it's time for me to add my finishing touches. I'm going to add some black walnut trim. Now, to help keep the trim aligned to the surface of the butcher block, I'm going to use the Domino DF500 joiner. You're going to see how powerful the Domino is for alignment. In addition, I'm going to show you one trick with this thing. I'm going to make a breadboard end. And that's usually pretty complex joinery, but the Domino makes it very simple. Come on, I'll show you how it's done. Here you can see that I've got the trim aligned. It's already cross-cut to length. I'm using a 5mm Domino bit in here because there's plenty of long grain to long grain glue surface, so we're not going to really rely on the Domino for joint strength here. It's just going to help keep these two pieces flush. I've adjusted the height of the fence to the 36mm stop. My top is about 35mm, so this will work just fine. So I'm going to lock down this lever here, and I'm going to fold down the top of my fence to the 90-degree mark, and I'll lock it down in place. Now, one thing to note is that the 5mm Domino is 30mm long, so I want to set first stop for the trim itself at the 12mm mark, and I'm going to mortise in my butcher block at the 20mm stop because there's no 18mm stop. So now I'm just going to reference off the end of my stock. I'm going to put it against this paddle over here. And I'll repeat it on this end as well. So I've done all the ends of the two pieces of trim. I'm going to unplug the tool. I'm going to add this cross stop here. The cross stop fence goes into this dovetail slot here, and I'm just going to lock it down. Now you'll see it's got a pin here. This pin's going to reference off of the mortise slot that we just cut, and it'll be really quick to align it. Now I've set this cross top here to the 200mm mark. I want some flexibility for my center mortises for when I glue it up, so I'm going to cut those with a wider mortise setting. So I'm going to use the cross stop here to reference off the end of the mortise that we just cut earlier, and I will go across from this end, and I'll mortise again. So I've done all the pieces, and you can see that it makes a slightly wider mortise in the center, and that'll help give me some flexibility when I'm lining this up. So now I'm going to unplug the plug-it cord, and I'm going to change the setting on to the 20mm mark. Now I'm just going to repeat what I did on the trim over on this butcher block top here. I'm just going to reference off the paddles for the ends, and I make sure that I'm on the narrow setting here. I'm going to turn it on the middle setting here. And I'll align off of the mortise I just cut. A little dry fit. I'm just going to take the dominoes and put them in the slots. Nice and flush. So now I'm doing the glue up. I put glue in the mortises, and I'm going to make sure that there's good glue coverage. So I'm not just going to fit this in. And it's all aligning really nicely. I'll let this set overnight, and then we'll make our breadboard end. Well, the glue's set overnight, so I'm going to switch it over to the 10mm bit. We're actually going to rely on the Domino for joint strength, so the 10mm size is ideal. I'm going to cut the mortises for the breadboard ends on my butcher block first. I'm going to use the regular mortise setting. I'm going to reference against the paddles for the ends. I'm going to reference for the center mortises against the end of my butcher block with these pins on the cross stop. I cut the mortises for both my breadboard and butcher block at the 25mm set. Put glue on half of each domino and I glue them in. I'm going to cut using the same methodology on my trim pieces, except for the outermost mortises I'm going to use the wider setting to allow for some wood movement. The wider mortises at the end will allow the butcher block to move freely, and the center ones will actually glue in. Quick dry fit to make sure everything fits okay. It looks perfect right now. I flipped over the butcher block, put it in some clamps, and now I'm going to drill holes for pegs on the two outer mortises from the inner side. I take the breadboard ends off and use the same drill bit and elongate the holes by rocking the drill back and forth. And just some glue on the center domino tenons. Then clamp it up and pound in some dowel. Then a cross-cutting handsaw will trim these flush. After the glue sets up, it's all ready for finishing. I love how it looks on top of the rolling island cart. Thanks for joining me in the shop. I'll see you next time.